I'd like to introduce Pat from New Zealand, who's originally from England. Good morning, Pat.
Hi, good evening to you.
Forgot to say there that you've actually got multiple sclerosis. When did you first start to notice MS symptoms?
Oh, this was 10 years ago. This was just after my 30th birthday.
And what symptoms were you experiencing at that time?
Starting with half my face going numb. So it's a complete drop on the side of my face, including my speech was affected.
Yeah.
Then a couple of months later, I had a foot go numb. Both of them lasted only a few weeks.
Yes. And had you noticed anything prior to that, or were they the first symptoms you'd noticed?
Those were the two first noticeable symptoms. Now looking back, I can see things in the past that I could have ticked the box.
Yes. Yeah. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? So, when you had these symptoms, how long did it take for your neurologist to diagnose you?
It was 6 months later before I had my third episode, my third attack, and it was after then they diagnosed me.
And were you offered any medication at that time?
That was my first part of medication, which was only a week of steroids.
Right. Okay. And before you found LDN, what was your MS actually like at that time? Had it progressed?
Well, to be honest, the doctors were describing it at that point in time, because obviously it was very new, as a relapsing, remitting.
Yeah. So, did you have any symptoms before you started LDN, or had they all gone away?
No, they pretty much. Well, I had symptoms from my big attack, when I was basically numb up to the waist and, in a word, paralysed. And so obviously getting over that attack took a few years. So I was on the LDN when I started that, but no, there was nothing major going on at the time.
Right,
nothing
okay.
new.
And how did you hear about LDN?
From my memory, it was a newspaper article that my family had found.
And was it easy to get a prescription?
Not a prescription, no, it was something that I paid for.
Right, okay. And when you first started, did you notice any side effects?
None at all.
And how long was it before you noticed any improvements?
It wasn't so much that I noticed an improvement, it was more that I noticed, because I was already on the mend, so it was more that I noticed that I wasn't going downhill, and there's certain things were happening in my life, and which would have really given my MS a real big shove, and they didn't. I was able to keep it controlled.
So what would you say LDN has done for you, other than just help control your MS? I mean, did you have bladder problems or fatigue or anything like that?
It's a very difficult one. Bladder and fatigue is two things that still affect me to this day.
Right.
Mainly both based around the stress level. So high levels of stress, and then my bladder is affected, and of course in line with fatigue. I do lead quite a busy job, and fatigue I have to be very careful of, so I have to keep working along with it.
Right. It's not always easy to pace yourself, is it?
It's not, especially with a young family.
What would you say to other people with MS who are contemplating trying LDN?
Definitely try it. Definitely. 100%. It's a no-brainer in my eyes. The other items on the market, nothing is a problem solver, but LDM just allows me to live my life.
And have you had any relapses since you've been on LDN?
Not serious relapses. I have had relapses, but nothing serious enough to even go to the doctors. Only basically really take time out and take a break and allow it to repair itself.
Yes. I've interviewed a lot of people, and some people who still have relapses normally find they don't last as long, they're not so severe, and they go back to where they were before, which is quite good with a progressive disease, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Would you say that was your experience? Or?
It is, but I also believe that it's as progressive as you allow it to be. If you keep positive and stay in control of your body, then no longer will it be controlling you as far as certainly, what's the word I'm looking for, more of, well, basically control it the best you can, not allowing it to beat you.
And I think listening to your own body is very important.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, stress levels and things and fatigue, you listen and manage it. And I think that is a really important thing, is to know your limits and not push past it, really, because there are always consequences to pay if you do that, aren't there?
There are, but I do believe you do need to push through them, though, even if it's only one step. I've come across many a member who is afraid of walking 150 yards down the street, and I'm like, try it, give it a go. If you don't give it a go, you know, it's already beat you.
Yeah, but sometimes pushing is all right to a point, but you can't push too far, can you?
That's right. That's right. Again, it's staying in control of it.
Yes. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. I really do appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Right, that was